Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. And today I'm going to be talking about Sohei. Um, it's been a little over a week since his release, and so I've had some time to play a lot with him and a lot against him for sure. And I wanted to just kind of give my thoughts on him. I'm going to start off with the good, okay? There's a lot of it. Generally, I think very highly of him. First off, the major thing here that is good about Sohei is that they tried something unique and different. No other hero in the game has this resource system that Sohei does. No other hero plays like him, okay? And that by itself is incredible. That's a massive W, and the devs need to do this more. The hope would be they do something like this with every hero. They try something new. So this is awesome. I'm really happy to see this, and I hope this pattern continues going forward with every hero release. And generally, Sohei is pretty complex because of this resource system. So, you got to collect all of the souls, and you can get your one shot, or you can heal using the feats, but we'll get to the feats later. But to have to think about, I got to hit him in this direction with this chain in order to get that last soul that I need, or I got to use, my heavies, or, is it smarter for me to try and go for a guard break, or should I let this one fly? There's a lot to think about in terms of like that resources management thing. And especially like if your opponent just not letting you get a guard break, which generally Soheis are fishing for the guard break because it's so easy to get all three of your souls that way, because you only got to hit 2 guard breaks. You get, light, 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 all of your souls. Guard break, heavy, 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 all of your souls. That's all you need. And so a lot of the times, especially so in like duels and brawls, from my experience, the Sohei is just fishing for guard breaks. And a decent Sohei will actually use that to their advantage. But that's kind of getting off track here. So with the amount of stuff we got to think about with Sohei, with the resource management and the unique properties of his heavy finishers or his heavy chains, you get more damage from the top, you get the bleed from the left side, and you get the pin from the right. You could think about some unique ways of using those as well, especially if they hit, and that's a really good thing. Another unique thing about him, which I honestly learned pretty recently, was that you can throw those heavies after a heavy parry, and like most of the time they'll hit. Like, it's a small parry window, and so that makes it a little bit easier to try and get souls for that as well. So he's not solely reliant on the guard break. So again, overall, he's pretty complex, and I love the uniqueness of the resource system with the souls. It's absolutely incredible, and I applaud For Honor for trying something new like this, and again, I hope they do it again going forward. Next good thing are his feats. I'm a huge fan of almost all of his feats. His tier 1 is that's the only one I'm like, it's just kind of boring, I guess. So he points at them, and you get a debuff on them, so you get to do a little bit more damage. Really, it's only there to make up for his lack of damage, which I'll talk about in like the bad portion of the video. But his tier 2 is really nice, where you could heal to full health. You sacrifice all of your souls, and there's no cooldown on it. You just need to get your souls back. So you could just heal, get your souls back, heal again. And so that's really nice for especially a heavy to be able to do that, because he can feel really tanky, and healing like that is really helpful when you're outnumbered. So it's a really great tool to have, and it's honestly one of his better ones. His tier 3, generally, I think it's pretty good. He gets a decent damage increase so long as he has his souls up, and that helps, kind of make him feel more so in line with what you'd expect from a heavy. So it's not bad, but it's a little hard to get to, because then now you have to think about, okay, well, do I spend my souls, or is it smarter for me to just kind of hang on to it for a little while so I can do a little more damage? And which adds to his complexity, which is really nice, and I enjoy that that bit of his gameplay. Is just thinking about how you want to use the souls as well. because you could use it to heal, you can use it for a damage increase, or you can use it to get the one shot. However, though, with the tier 3, I kind of did want to say, I feel like it just would have felt more natural and maybe a little smarter for Sohei if they had incrementally increased his damage with the amount of souls that he gets. I think he'd feel a little more natural to play, as opposed to, like, if you don't have your souls up, you feel like you're doing legitimately no damage whatsoever. And then when you do have your souls up, now you feel like you're doing a normal amount of heavy damage. It's a little higher than like your average hero, but he's a heavy and it should feel that way. But I need to have all of my souls in order to feel that way, which makes me feel like, do I want to even spend my souls? Because I know if I spend my souls and I get my one shot, or if I heal, now I'm going to feel like I'm not doing any damage anymore. My fights are going to take forever. When I'm outnumbered, it's going to take me forever to do enough damage, and if I do get my souls up, while I'm getting ganked, like, I'm likely just going to spend it to heal more and make the fight drag on even longer. And so it just kind of feels like he's weak a lot of the times, and more so in the sense of like damage. So like if they had added like an incremental increase and I only needed 1 or 2 or 3 souls to kind of feel good with him, I feel like that'd have worked a little better than all or nothing. So hopefully maybe they'll change that in the future, because I do feel like his low damage is a bit of an issue for him, especially in 4s. In duels and brawls, it doesn't feel like too difficult, because generally that one shot is the main thing. So like in duels and brawls, there's no feats anyway. Yes, he does low damage, but a lot of times you're going to end up getting to that one shot, and you can end it right then and there. So yes, he has lower damage, but the second you get to the one shot, you can end the fight, which is really nice. So duels and brawls feels fine. 4s is where I have the issue. And so yes, we are still on the good portion of this video. He has great drip. He's really drippy with it. He looks so cool. I love seeing all the 7 weapons, the 6 of them attached to his body and the one he holds. His gear looks great. I love, pretty much every time I fight against a Sohei or I'm playing as Sohei, he looks pretty good. I like all of his gear, and so that's definitely a positive. Another good thing is most of his animations look just fine. They look great. It feels natural, the flow of everything. The only thing that doesn't feel quite natural for me in regards of the animation is he doesn't two-hand that long spear. He holds it with one hand, and it looks kind of weird to me, running around or when I'm like locked onto a target and he's just holding it with one hand. It feels really weird. And his lights, he swings it with one hand too. Like, that part to me doesn't feel all that natural. So I don't know why they chose to have him hold it one-handed like that for such a long, heavy looking spear, but I guess, like, I know he grabs the weapon in his chain, like one of the 6 weapons, but like, why not just have that attached to his chain then? Because he's not using the bigger weapon, so you could just hold it in the other hand, grab the second weapon in the chain, and then swing that one. Why is he always holding his spear with one hand? It just doesn't feel right to me. All right, so moving on to some of the things about Sohei I'm not super a fan of. I kind of already mentioned this before. He's really not good in team fights in almost any way. Whether if you're outnumbering somebody, if you're being outnumbered, it just doesn't feel right. He doesn't do a lot of damage. He doesn't have a whole lot of value. His pin is fine, but a lot of his animations are very slow. You end up getting interrupted by your teammates, whether they're hitting you or hitting, say you guard broke somebody, if they're hitting them. Or you could be trying to get your one shot, and if a teammate hits you or the person you're in the middle of one shotting, and that animation cancels, you lose all of your souls and you get no value out of it. So a lot of times when you're playing Sohei, you're getting interrupted a gazillion times in team fights, and it just feels so annoying, bro. Like, I literally want to reach through the screen and slap the shit out of my teammates every time they do it, because if I'm not playing with like a friend or something, they're hitting me out of it constantly. And I get that that's like a balancing thing, and I'm okay with that for the most part. It just makes it really stressful, because at that point it's almost not worth it going for it in the first place, in a team fight, because it's just better for you to kind of sit on that sideline and gank, and maybe occasionally like backstep light or backstep heavy, and then try and hit one of your chains just to get a soul up. You're essentially, a lot of times I find myself just farming souls in a team fight and letting my teammates do the majority of the damage, because my guard breaks are pretty much useless. They feed too much revenge. My bash obviously feeds a lot of revenge as well, and if I am getting the one shot, I have to like trust the fact that my teammates are going to let me one shot them, and a lot of times that just doesn't happen with solo queue. It doesn't happen with random teammates, and it's just unfortunate, because they should be able to see, oh, he has all the souls, we can quickly get this guy out of here. But again, even in a team fight, like a lot of times the opponent sees it too, and they're going to hit you out of it anyway. And so if it's not your teammates, it's the opponent, and he just feels useless in that regard. In duels, like if he's one-on-one with somebody, he feels great. Like he is genuinely menacing to go against, because the second you see he gets his souls up, it's almost like, whoop, gotta put the controller down, so he's definitely terrifying at trying to fight him one-on-one. The issue is just he's really not good in team play at all. He just doesn't do a lot of damage. A lot of his good stuff feeds a decent amount of revenge. Or he gets cancel out of it a lot. If you're 2v1ing somebody, it can be fine, because you can guard break, hit, and then your opponent, your teammate's guaranteed a heavy. And so it's fine for the most part if your teammates know what they're doing and you know what you're doing as a Sohei, but really the best way to handle team fights with him is just watch, and occasionally maybe try and gather up a few souls. Otherwise, it really doesn't feel like he does much help in team fights. The other thing is his opener heavies feel generally pretty useless. They're extremely slow, so you get interrupted out of it a lot. Yes, they have a decently wide hitting range, which is fine, I guess. But again, you're likely just going to get hit out of it. And then why would I ever try and throw raw heavies when his zone attack is just so much better? It does more damage. It's a little faster. You can soft feint to guard break. And the chain version has hyper armor. There's literally no reason to throw his heavies out ever, because you punish things with the zone. Light parry zone is better because it does the most damage, unless you want to get souls up, of course. Opener, just doing the zone again is better. There's no vulnerability frames on startup for the zone either, so you can't get guard broken out of it. So legitimately, why would I ever throw a regular heavy when the zone is just so much better? I don't get it. So I feel like his opener heavies need something. I don't know what to suggest here, but they're not good, because compared to the zone, I'm like, why would I ever throw the heavy? The zone is more than enough. Now, my last criticism on Sohei here has to do with his chain lights. I went into this like, oh my god, he's getting 7 weapons, that's insane, thinking that at the very least each weapon will have a different property. The heavies, they do that very well. His top heavy does the most damage of his chains. The right side heavy pins, the left side heavy does bleed. That's great. Super happy with that. Although I would love if that top heavy, the hammer, displaced and you can get wall splats. That would be amazing, but that's just me. I don't know about you guys. I'd love that. But as for his lights, they really don't do anything. His chain lights, they're all, I believe, 400 ms, so they're generally not reactable. And so the kind of gimmick that they went for there is that if you want to get out of it, you either have to guess right or you gotta dodge. And so he gets an undodgeable top light chain, which is a property, and that's fine, and I'm okay with that. But the side ones don't do anything. It does. So at that point, I don't feel like they're a different weapon. It just feels like he's just throwing out another chain light. So like, okay, it's just a different animation. He reaches for a different weapon, or he collects the other soul, which I guess is fine. But the whole point is that he's a master of 7 weapons. It doesn't feel that way when 2 of his weapons don't really do anything. I'm okay with the undodgeable top light if they want to keep it, but I think those side light chains need to add something because it just feels really bland. And only time I ever find myself actually throwing them is just trying to collect souls. Like I don't have any other use for them. I like throwing the top one a little more often because it is undodgeable and it has more uses than just collecting a soul. And then the same thing with the heavies. I have to think about when I want to use them, how I want to use them, and why, because they all have different properties. I could pin and maybe I can get my teammates to get some extra damage on them. I could use bleed, and that can help out maybe some of my assassin teammates who benefit from the bleed, because I can hit them with the bleed and shaman can wind up a bite, and there you go, there's a bunch of damage right there. The top one does more damage. So I mean, I'm thinking a lot about how I'm using my heavies, but when it comes to my lights, I just don't feel that at all. It doesn't feel unique. It doesn't feel like I'm a master of those weapons because they basically don't do anything. So that's probably that's going to wrap up really like the bad portion of everything. Like that's really all my criticisms on him. But overall, he's a great hero. He's super unique. He'll probably end up in my top 5 most played, my top 5 most repped heroes as of now, because I'm a huge fan of heavies. He's a lot of fun. He has hyper armor. The one shot is freaking exhilarating to hit. It's amazing. I love it. And he's really unique. No other hero does what he does. So I think that's honestly more than enough reason to like him. And so I think overall, if I had to give him like a rating out of 10, I think I want to give him, like, in his current state, I want to give him like a 7.5 out of 10. He can be better with a few minor changes. And if those do happen, like maybe better damage increase, whether they want to up his base damage or they want to do the incremental damage increase with his tier 3, that's fine by me. But if those things happen, I'm glad to bump him up to an 8. But where he is now, I think I kind of want to put him at like a 7.5 ish. But yeah, that's overall my thoughts on Sohei. Let me know what you guys think about him in the comment section below. Do you like him? Do you not like him? Would you give him a higher or lower rating? Do you guys agree with what I'm saying? Do you disagree? I want to hear all of your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to get notified every time I upload, and I'll see you guys in the next one.